Hello and welcome to this edition of Charm TV's Game Changers. I'm Mark Clark. On this episode of Game Changers, we sit down with Dr. Sonja Brookins Santelises, Chief Executive Officer of Baltimore City Public Schools. Dr. Santelises will share with us details on the 21st Century School Building Program and other initiatives from BCPS. We'll be right back. We're with Dr. Sonja Brookins Santelises, Chief Executive Officer of Baltimore City Public Schools. Dr. Santelises, welcome to Game Changer.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
So, I'm curious about Santelises. I'm curious about your background. We've got Brookins Santelises.
Yes.
Now, Brookins is your maiden name.
Brookins is my maiden name. Santelises is my married name.
And where is that from?
So my husband was born here in the United States, or he's from the United States, but he has the majority of his family came from the Dominican Republic.
I love it. And so where are you from originally?
So originally I grew up north of Boston. So okay. That's where I go home, and that's where we still go a couple times a year.
And you in Boston?
But you know what? But my parents are from Mississippi and Georgia, so they help cancel some of that out. So
Mississippi and Georgia.
That's right. Isn't that yes?
So Never mind.
The big stew of it canceled some of it out.
Cancels it all.
I get it every once in a while.
And I think you're like me. You have 3 kids also.
I do. 3 girls.
3 girls. You gotta love the girls.
Yes. Do you have girls?
I have girls.
See, look at that. That's a good thing.
So tell us, we got a lot of stuff happening with our schools.
Yes.
Tell us what's going on.
So we are really excited about our new 21st Century buildings opening. We just had an opening at another one, Dorothy I. Height Elementary School, and watching those kids walk in on the first day to see the new space, just the open light, new cafeteria, the library space, just the looks on their faces makes all of the hard work worth it. We're going to be opening 5 more schools this coming school year. We're going to have about 23 to 28 in total, and that's really exciting for the city because this is something that a lot of parents, families, and community members advocated for over a number of years. Local advocacy groups, and so it's always wonderful at the ribbon cuttings to be able to see just the broad representation from our community. We have some folks, as a matter of fact, we had some of Dorothy I. Height's family come for this last ribbon cutting, and then we had advocates from a variety of different groups come out, members of the clergy, and just folks who are alumni from the school came as well. And it was wonderful for the young people, because they got to really see that the community did this for them, and the way that they feel when they walk in the building, like you see the little kids, the first graders just looking up and their mouths are open, and the spaces are gorgeous. They are absolutely gorgeous. They have art rooms now that actually inspire future visual artists in Baltimore City. There are in some of the schools in Frederick Elementary. We have what we call like a cafetorium. So there's a stage within the cafeteria. So you go there every day for lunch, but you can also go there for school productions and school plays. So we really are excited about the space. We've gotten great feedback about the technology. And so teachers really getting to use technology that's been built in, everything from smart boards to technology that adjusts temperature in different ways and lighting in different ways. We have some schools where just the natural light itself really just communicates to young people that the world is theirs. They can see Baltimore City outside. So it's very exciting, and it's not just the school system. This really is an effort that shows that schools are an extension of the larger community. So it's been wonderful.
And Dr. Santelises, you've had an interesting, Baltimore is a challenging place, as most cities our size are, and it kind of seems like we had a rough patch. We had things that we were concerned about earlier this year, but it seemed like the silver lining was the connection to community that kind of happened, and we kind of saw that happen in real time.
That's right.
And it was real. It was real. Right. But I think the thing about that is, it's like in any relationship, it's like now you can see the growth, because now they know who you are, you know who they are. I'm talking about the community, and there's a connection. It feels like you guys are working together. Is that what it feels like?
It definitely feels that way. And I will say, as you pointed out, one of the great things about when you have to come together around a challenge like we had earlier in the year, particularly with the heating, it was also a great opportunity for we within the school system to do a double take and say, are we really listening? Do we really have the relationships that we need to have with community? Families should be able to come up and say, I don't want my child sitting in the cold. Families should be able to say, I want to see more art at my child's school, or I want more athletics, right? And they should be able to have an exchange and a dialogue. We have a wonderful task force that's made up of representatives from across the city, the private sector, city government, the mayor's office, that have all come together around, for example, really looking at enrollment and how do we increase enrollment. And that has been just a wonderful opportunity to hear voices from parents and families, what they want to see in a school, what customer service looks like for them, how they want to be greeted, how they want to be brought in. And it's allowed us, frankly, as the school system and myself as the CEO, to be able to share some of the challenges. So when we shared that funding was a challenge, our community stepped up and said, really? Well, we need to help you in Annapolis, and we want to see what we can do to help get more funding and the funding that our young people deserve. And so it really is this mutual accountability. But at the end of the day, when I talk to most principals and teachers in the city, they really want what's best for young people. And I will say this about educators in the city. For the most part, people teach in Baltimore City because they want to, because they feel the potential, they feel the gifts of our young people, and they want to be a part of that. And that's what helps make working through some of the difficult conversations really worth it for us.
And do we have new programs for registration, or there's some approaching deadlines?
Yes, there are. So we are very excited, as we always are, about enrolling new families for pre-kindergarten and kindergarten. So this is that time of the year where I know, you feeling that from a father's standpoint.
No, I mean, they just grow up so quick, and it's such a special time,
Oh my goodness, it is. And one of my favorite places to visit is families signing their littlest children up in for our schools. And, you just see the promise. And we encourage families that early childhood does matter, right? So getting into pre-K, getting into kindergarten matters. Some of the most magical moments, I think, in our district occur in our pre-K classrooms. And just the opportunities that young people have to explore. We're really trying to build out of just the classroom curriculum, but really expand young people from the earliest ages, their exposure to all that is wonderful in Baltimore City. So this is an important time. Parents, we get out, we know from some of the data that frankly pre-K has some of the strongest results in the entire system. We've been recognized across the state for the strength of our pre-K results. And we really are using that to boost the rest of the system, to really use that as the jet engine, so to speak, to really propel the rest of this.
The jet engine. I think the thing I love about Baltimore is it's kind of like as sometimes insurmountable as some of our challenges seem, there seems to be a certain it's not quaint, but there's a connection that we have here in Baltimore. It's like a feeling that, it almost feels like we can make this work. Absolutely. That we can, what I mean? It can be overwhelming at times, but it feels like we can do this.
Oh, without a doubt. And I get people come up to me in the grocery store, right, in Target, walking down the street.
Where does that come from, do you think?
You know what? I think that comes from just a real rich history of neighborhoods in Baltimore City. I think the neighborhood, the neighborhood is the foundation of the city itself, means that people are connected to neighbors in ways that, quite frankly, don't tell folks in Boston this, you don't always see in other places. Yeah. There's a real sense of place and a connection to place, right? That's why, in other places, changing the name of an elementary school wouldn't be a huge deal. Here in Baltimore it is, because it's a history lesson, right? It's a lesson about kind of all of the people that came before, right, to make life better for young people today. And that's, to me, something very, very special and a unique combination of just past and present, community and larger sense of self that is really unique to Baltimore, and that makes Baltimore incredibly special.
That's a great point, because I know a lot of times, you know, like you said, when you mess with schools, people are unhappy. Even if the school isn't performing well or has had challenges for years, when you mess with that school, people will complain about it.
That's right.
But you're absolutely right. There's a reason, you know, and I think it is definitely a connection, an appreciation of history.
Yes.
You know, and so now when you look around at cities, I mean, like our size, they have the same kind of similar issues. And why do you think that is? You know, it seems like it's like the same issue across most cities our size and larger.
No, you're right. And I think so. Some of it, which, you know, the mayor has even talked about, some of it is investment in aging infrastructure, right? So, you know, buildings didn't just get this way, right? You know, I tell people, it's not like, you know, we had heating challenges just within the last 2 years I've been here, right? They've been, you know, it's over a period of time. I think the other thing is that cities are still the place of enough promise for a lot of people who might not have other choices, right? And at the same time, that those people who do have options, who choose to be here because of the vibrancy, right? Because of the richness and the texture. You're not just in some kind of cookie cutter community, but as wonderful as that is, it's harder to serve a more diverse population. It just is, you know, and I say to people all the time, you know, Baltimore City Public Schools, we have a young man who was recognized nationally and within the state who's going to Harvard this year. And we have young people who are going to Princeton and Yale, but we also have young people who we need to make sure that they can read at a level where they can get a job, and who, when they talk to me and they say, I want to be able to leave high school and get a job because I have this challenging family situation. We are a school system that says we are designed and we are committed to educating all of those young people. And that makes it harder. That makes it harder when you've got 80,000 students as opposed to either a smaller number of students or, frankly, students who fit more of a common profile. And so, you know, because we have said, and, you know, we have said that all young people matter, it makes it more challenging. And things like generational poverty are not minor, you know, elements. And so we have to come together. We have to work on that. I will say I enjoy talking with families. I was talking to a family in Federal Hill a few months back who said, you know, a lot of our friends have said we should move to either this county or that county. And we tell them no. We are committed to Baltimore. They love their school and they want to see the entire city move.
Dr. Santelises, it's a tough job, but we know you can do it.
Well, thank you for saying. I appreciate that.
Thank you for joining us on Game Changers.
No, thank you for having me. It was great to talk with you.
Definitely. And thank you for joining us on Game Changers. Do you know a game changer in Baltimore? Send us your ideas to charmtv@baltimorecity.gov.